Yo, Mass Podcast doing the first video, going into looking at the big three going into 2025. So first off, we're going to start with Drake, okay? So Drake's just come off the back of a loss to Kendrick Lamar. Whether you think he lost or not, Drake lost. Like, by cultural standards, music output standards, Drake lost. I'm not saying that Family Matters wasn't a hard track, because it definitely was. Personally, I prefer Drake to Kendrick, but we've got to accept at this point, Drake has lost, okay? So, everything Drake's doing currently is in question. It's looked at through a microscope, okay? But anyway, Drake, this year, we've seen 3 snippets from the collab with Ty Dolla $ign, which was a generally good reception. Yeah, good reception for that. So that's something we can look forward to in 2025 from him. In terms of the Fighting Irish freestyle, that's had some of my responses. Again, it's very split, but I think there's a lot of Drake hate. Now, I can understand what people are saying. It sounds like he's whining and complaining about losing. But again, this comes mainly, what I've noticed, from Kendrick fans, if I'm being honest. Where Kendrick was able to go and whack out murals and air his grievances with people. Drake's done it. And even though it's in a more whiny tone and not a dominant tone, like, the comparison's not really fair there, in my opinion. However, in this track, he's going at LeBron James. Is it a good move? I don't know, considering LeBron doesn't rap, so he can't say anything back, really. But again, he was good friends with LeBron. Spent a lot of time with him. Got the man tatted. I don't know what kind of behaviour that is. He had the man tatted on his arm. So I don't know what I'll go on for that. But, you know, in terms of bars and how he feels, it's not bad. It's introspective from his point of view. Interesting bars when he talks about, was it a pipe bomb? I might have to pull that up and then post it. But was it a pipe bomb, he said? Or car bombs or something? I don't know where he's trying to go with that. I think he needs to leave that tough talk alone. For now, at least, anyway. Because I don't mind it when Drake tries to be tough sometimes. But again, this isn't the time, in my opinion, for it. But in my personal view of Drake currently, I think because he's got so many people hating on him at the moment and overlooking everything he does, the best thing he can do for himself in his career, stay out the mix, lay low for the year. I know obviously he's dropping that album with Party Next Door, but in terms of everything else, I think he needs to stay out the way, really. Let Kendrick do what he's going to do, because Kendrick's going to, well, we're going to get onto him, but he's going to dominate throughout the year just based off what's happened so far. So we just need to keep Drake out and then let people miss him. Because I don't think this isn't even a slight to Kendrick, but it's just the way Kendrick's presenting himself. I don't think he's going to be able to carry rap the way Drake has. I'm not saying he's not a better rapper than Drake. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in terms of being around, being active, being involved in pushing people forward, adding guest verses. I don't think we're going to see that from Kendrick. But again, that leads me directly into Kendrick. He's just come off the back of the win against Drake. Yes, Kendrick's. I'm going to say it again because people think, because I prefer Drake generally, that means I glaze him. I don't. Kendrick won. Okay? Personally, I don't think it's because he had so much better lyrics. I don't think it was that. But his strategy was executed perfectly. He knew if Drake was going to crash out, he had to have something ready. And he had that ready. As soon as Family Matters dropped, Meet the Graves, what was it? Been half an hour? Something like that. Within half an hour, he had put something out, stamped on it. Okay, Meet the Grams, stamped on it, and the shock value with that just took everything out of Family Matters. I still like Family Matters more, and I bumped that more, obviously. However, the immediate shock from hearing Meet the Grams took Drake out of the question for the moment. And then, on top of that, he dropped the banger with Not Like Us. Now, of course, Not Like Us is a smash hit. It's now overplayed, but it's going to happen when you're a smash hit, isn't it? But, Kendrick definitely won that beef. Then he went out to put like GNX. I'm not a fan of every single song, but it's a solid album. Or is it a mixtape? I don't know. There's like conflicts in there. We don't know if it's a mixtape or an album, but it's solid. A couple songs I don't really like, but in terms of replay value, which people have criticised Kendrick about, in terms of replay value, it's there. Even if you're not listening to it from a lyrical standpoint, because even on What Top News, I think he goes, this is not for lyricists, he wants you just to feel it, you know what I mean? So we can take out the idea of him being this insane lyricist at the moment, because he's just saying stuff. I found that with him. I don't think it's bad. He's just talking his stuff. I think I compare it to the way Nas was a bit on Stillmatic. And even when he like takes that one mic sample and uses it, and these interpolations and the way he talks, that bravado he has, it comes like when Nas had Stillmatic and he's addressing different people and different matters on the album, which I did enjoy from Kendrick. Again, he's going to go into the Super Bowl with his performance. We don't know if he's going to perform that live. Of course, that's going to be a big thing. But again, that publicity is going to be huge for Kendrick. He's going to have a great year. Again, because we don't know if that was a mixtape or an album, he might then drop an album this year, because I've heard it and I've seen it as well, that the Heart Part 6 comes prior to an album, but it was on Gen X. So people are speculating this is a mixtape, not actually the album. So do we get the album just after the Super Bowl, or does Kendrick have another strategy in place? And I think it's going to be interesting, because Kendrick knows that Drake's due to drop with Party Next Door, and there's been talk that he stepped on their release date with GNX. Is it going to be a case that Kendrick's going to just do a Jay-Z to J. Cole, which is just drop on the same day he drops? Is it going to be a thing like that? He's going to find out when the Fall Out's dropping and he drop that album he's had planned all this time on the same day, just to step on that as well? I don't know. But again, like, I don't think Kendrick's going anywhere this year. So if you hate Kendrick, it's a long day for you, innit? Moving on to Cole, though, he backed out the beef. Mixed reactions on that. Initially, Cole, if I'm being transparent, Cole is my favourite out of all the three. Cole's my favourite out of the three. I think he's still rapping lyrically better than the other guys. I don't care if you think, oh, GNX was this, GNX was that. I don't care what you think about the beef. J. Cole, bar for bar, is rapping better than everyone in the mainstream currently. Okay, even people like Daylight, he jumped on Daylight's song, and Daylight's known for having bars. He jumped on his song and he smoked him. Not to say Daylight wasn't good rapping well, because he definitely was, and he definitely can. So I'm not putting that into question. I'm not putting that into question at all. However, J. Cole's asserting his dominance as a lyrical rapper, and I think that's the bag he wants to be in, really. But yeah, he backed out the beef. People had mixed reception. I initially was heartbroken as a J. Cole fan. I went into work, I was complaining for the day. We wait till the next day and I really thought about what he said and why he said it, and as a rap fan, I still didn't want to accept it. However, on a personal level, I understood it. Like, you can say something to your brethren, and then you can take back what you said about your friend. You know what I mean? You might not have meant it like that. It was the heat of the moment. You said something like, alright, say less, I messed up. You can do that as a man. And I think rap fans don't want that. And I guess, again, because it's rap and the nature of rap and that competitiveness, you want to see it regardless. It doesn't have to go that far. However, I don't think, now looking at where that beef went with Drake, that it would have made sense for Cole to even be included in that. Because you might have said, what did we expect? That Kendrick was just going to send different diss tracks at both of them and they weren't going to get involved. If Drake went deep on him, how does that leave the way he addresses Cole moving forward if they're seen on the same team? I don't know what people would have expected from that, really. I think, from my perspective, I'd like them to engage in some way. I know people said, in 2015, they went on each other's songs and remixed them. Cole, I think this is the thing with J. Cole that people are forgetting. Cole's improved significantly since then in his rapping. And Cole was a good rapper then. But again, the lyrical edge would have been given to Kendrick Lamar, which I can completely understand. And I'm not arguing that. With the Black Friday freestyles, I'm not arguing that. But what I am saying is, I don't want them on a song together. I think J. Cole and Kendrick on a song would be bigger than the actual song is. I think the headlines would take over. The sensationalization of it would take over. So maybe if it's just I don't know, they don't even do this anymore. No one does this really. I guess the last person to do a freestyle on the radio was J. Cole. But maybe if they went back and forth on something like that, I do want to see them go back and forth, but not in the same way that we had a Drake and Kendrick. Because I do think, all in all, Kendrick does respect Cole and vice versa. But I don't think the way it would have led with Drake would have been the same outcome if Cole had stayed in that beef. Again, there was that mixed reception to Port Antonio, people thinking, now he's apologising to Drake. I think J. Cole's just J. Cole. He's one of them artists who wears his heart on his sleeves, isn't he? So I think he's going to look around at the situation. He's going to say what he's feeling. Again, we've let Nas down. He didn't have to say that. Even with that, he was talking about how he felt about Jay-Z at one point on that song. And he's very emotional in that sense. It's not like it's a subby type of thing, but like he's very vulnerable in how he deals with everything, isn't he? So I had no issues with that. And again, that's one of the best rapping performances. Even if you just took the first half of that, it's one of the best rapping performances of the year. And no one's questioned J. Cole's lyrical ability. Again, after that, J. Cole put out his Inevitable series, which set up nicely towards the end of the year. He's due to put out the second series of that. So we finished on Forest Hills Drive. I'm assuming we're going to go into that time for Forest Hills Drive to For Your Eyes Only when he was a bit absent. Probably going to talk about his marriage and things like that. But I think this is inevitably going to lead up to the Fall Off. The Fall Off album, which again is going to be J. Cole's most important album to date. It's supposed to be his last album. He's supposed to go into retirement after this. Daylight even said he's heard this Fall Off, and it's one of the best levels of rapping he's ever heard. Now again, we know the type of cloth Daylight's cut from. So for him to say that we should be expecting things, I personally though, I just don't want, for J. Cole, I just don't want raps. When I say raps, I mean I don't want just the type of verses, even though they're lyrical, it's not really getting to anything. So like on a Plate of Collard Greens, an impeccable verse. However, I think we need a thematic type of album from J. Cole. I don't mean necessarily a Forest Hill Drive, but something thematic that holds it all together, not just good rapping performances, because it just gets overlooked at that point. I think, again, that's the same with Might Delete Later. So many great rapping performances, but there was nothing that held it together. And again, in terms of what I mentioned about the Cole and Kendrick thing, 7 Minute Drill got all the attention. And it took away from everything, especially when he got rid of it. That took away from everything people had thought about the album in terms of the rapping quality. The only thing people actually reference now is Pie, because that's, again, an incredible verse. But that's the only thing people reference back from that project, where Cole, lyrically, again, was rapping better than what Kendrick is on GNX, if we're being objective about it. But again, it takes the headlines, so I don't want anything sensationalized. I just want him to be focused on a narrative and to be articulated that way, because I think that's when it's received best. I don't think Cole's had an album that's been received well when it's just raps. Like, Sideline Story didn't have a theme. It's an okay album, it didn't have a theme, it's not goated. Born Sinner had a slight theme running throughout it, to be honest. That was well received. Obviously, classic album Forest Hills Drive was well received. For Your Eyes Only was well received. However, again, people thought it was boring. That was a specific story he was telling. Maybe we get something a bit more personal from him. I don't know. I don't know if we go back into no features. I don't know if we go back into having features. I don't know if features will blow up the album. I'm not too sure in it. But I think this is going to be his most important album. And if he doesn't deliver, again, it's going to give people another reason to say he can't be qualified as the best rapper. Now, in terms of how I just want to address all of these rappers, I see them as all goats in their own way. So J. Cole might be my favourite, but he's not the only one who's a goat. So I see J. Cole has currently the rapping bag. He's at the top for raps, for lyrics, for bars. Cole is the best at the moment in this generation. Bars specifically. Now, if we're talking the consciousness and the hit-making ability, let me give it to Kendrick then. He's able to go in between bags. He's showing up with GNX. He's not saying anything that's deep at all, really. Quite shallow. Except for Reincarnated, which is a bit more dense. But again, he's not really saying much. But again, that's not a bad thing, but he's showing he can make bangers. TV Off, smash. I remember hearing TV Off. I was in my bedroom, I was like to my wife, Yo! Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that at this point, Kendrick has not showcased he can do all. And the prime example of that are Good Kid, Mad City and Damn. Like, he's tapping into stories with bangers on Good Kid, Mad City. And again, on Damn, the way he's able to include the bangers into this idea of the human consciousness and the way we relate to God and the different sins within our lives and how it's shown in his life is amazing. So we know Kendrick can do that. Now, again, personally, I don't think Kendrick lyrically has beat where he was in 2017. I personally don't think that. Again, Kendrick also has demonstrated he's a mastermind when it comes to beef as well. And he's willing to take it there. He's willing to crash out. Yeah, he's got that competitiveness that holds rap together. He's able to spark those conversations and bring life back to it. He's proved that because he did it with Control and he's done it again with that verse. So, it's no hate to Kendrick at all. He's a GOAT in his own right. Okay, now we get to Drake. Now, bare people hate Drake and I just think the hate is completely unwarranted. Now, his character outside of music, I don't feel like he can be trusted on a personal level. However, Drake is the essence, and people are going to hate me for this, but Drake is the essence of what hip-hop is. What it started as anyway. Hip-hop, initially, in the 70s, was to get the party going and keep people dancing. It wasn't conscious. It was not conscious. It was not even about having good bars. It was about energy and who can get the people dancing. Because it was about break dancers, yeah? They were the people who were the lead, really, and the DJs. So when people are like, Drake's got bangers, but that's all he can make. He's not conscious. He doesn't need to be. He does what hip-hop was meant to be initially. Now, again, things can evolve and get greater. Yeah? But if you're talking about what hip-hop's supposed to be, the essence, the hits, things that make you move, Drake's got that better than anyone we've ever had. Better than anyone we've ever had. Drake is a GOAT in his own right, and he's held rap down for what year are we in now? We're in 2025, so at least, I won't give you 2009, there weren't any hits on So Far Gone, but let's just say from 2010, so 15 years, the man's giving us bangers. His own songs, features with other people, he's giving people bangers. And they've just turned around and done this to him. Drake, GOAT in his own right as well. But yeah, that's me, man. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm down for discussion. If you disagree with anything I said, that's cool. I don't mind. As long as you're respectful, I won't diss you if you don't diss me. If you don't agree with my opinion, say that. It's like, nah, Drake ain't a GOAT. Nah, Kendrick ain't a GOAT. Nah, J. Cole's soft or whatever. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions in it, so just leave them down in the comments. Till the next time, in a bit.